Tropicana gets its roof torn off, Tropicana Stadium that the Tampa Bay Rays play in. And if you look into it, Tropicana orange juice was created in 1947 at the same time the U.S. military did their first ever experiment on a hurricane. You guys look it up, 1947, first experiment on a hurricane. Bradenton, Florida is where Tropicana orange juice was created, in Bradenton. So you just happen to have Anderson.
I can have non-sexual orgasms within my body, pleasures that I didn't know were possible.
Fuck yeah. There's another short rap.
You deserve that, wrestler.
It's true. You do this.
It's damn near like a rite of passage in this. Oh my god, it's working.
Mandy says that Dolly grips harder than me. This is fucking unacceptable.
Get cold out, bitch. You don't grip enough.
I really haven't been grifting hard enough. You guys, I just found out I have cancer.
Bank account cancer?
You have cancer in your pee-pee?
I don't know what Eclipse says. You have cancer.
All right, but seriously, donate some fucking money just because I might have cancer and just not know about it.
And to be fair, that is untreated, unknown cancer is the worst type of cancer because it's untreated.
Right,
so I think
and unknown.
For untreated cancer people, get out your wallets, open your wallets, open your heart.
I can't believe I have the worst type of cancer there is. This is tragic. I just need some money to kill me.
God is so good. The stillness is so gentle. The silence is powerful. See, because it's through the silence of our listening and our seeking that God reveals the wisdom. The wisdom is realized in the silence from within you. The silence within you is beyond the mind chatter, behind those gossiping and controlling voices that are always around, whether it's in your ears or around. There's voices and gossip and voices and words that want to control you, want to interrupt your peace, interrupt your silence. You choose what you allow.
You choose what you allow. How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody will filter in over here. I posted the link. I posted the link and I sent the StreamYard out.
Wallahi, bro. Wallahi. There you go.
Wallahi, we're gonna go ahead and finish. We're gonna go ahead and finish this video right here.
His thoughts later on, and he's like a flipping Bigfoot. Now, what he had seen was so unmistakable that all he could do was utter profanities to himself. Now, like I'm saying, he didn't say the word flipping, but we're trying to keep it PG here. And he would later describe the creature as being wider than his own car and practically reaching the height of the windshield. And when he realized he was seeing a Bigfoot, or at the very least, that the creature's image fit the general mental image of what a Bigfoot looks like, at this point, he's doing what any one of us would try and do, and that's to completely rationalize what we just witnessed. Because this is such a large remote area anyway, with thick forest and farmland on either side of the road, at this point, he's certain that what he saw had to have been a cow or a horse, something,
good? How
and that
you
it
doing?
possibly got loose from a nearby ranch. And I think a lot of us would have done the exact same thing. I mean, if you saw a ginormous man-like figure and it's faster than any man ever, and it runs at night in the middle of the road, I think you'd probably have a similar reaction. So after he has the realization that this definitely had to have been Bigfoot that jumped across the road, that's the only thing it could have been. Not that he never thought about Bigfoot, but he has certainly never been on the lookout for this thing. It's at this point that he decided he was not going to stop driving. He was going to stick it out and make his way to the next town to where he would pull over and text his wife. And so he's like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to find a spot. I'm going to text my family and tell everybody I know exactly what's going on. So as time had passed and he had reached the next town, past where all this had happened, he was able to pull over on the side of the road, pull out his phone, and he starts texting his family, telling them exactly what he had seen, which he believed it was a Bigfoot. Now, he wasn't trying to make a prank. He was just sharing what he had seen because it was so unbelievable for him. And interestingly,
pause it.
Especially his
motherfucker. I'm not Irish. I'm Anglo and Scottish. 1720s, motherfucker. My family colonized this land. I don't want to hear the Irish accusation ever again.
That you're Irish and you live in Oregon.
But yeah, Bumpkin, as a resident UK, person, tell me exactly where you're from in the UK, and I'll go visit. Which town, which city, which county?
Bumpkin, I see Irish on that DNA results.
Okay, what do you
potato bastard?
What do you see more of though?
Subhuman.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. 15% Germanic Europe. Did that shit go up? Damn.
But Bumpkin, where you from exactly in the UK?
Hag. I'm glad none of y'all heard that. My mom's like, "Be quiet. You have Irish in you." That's our dirty secret. That's crazy.
Oh, you're a petty. Oh, you're petty.
She said one of your family names, one of your family's oldest names is Maxwell. What, Maxwell House, like the coffee? All right, cool story. Cool story, leprechaun lady. Go away. We have we have paperwork with funny squiggly lines that says we're German.
At least it's not O'Brien. O'Brien
Mick
is like
got in there somewhere, didn't he? But a Mick got in there somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah, a Petty.
His name was actually Mick Hitler. Mick Adolf.
You know what? I have a joke, but YouTube, I'll behave myself.
Yeah, every white person wants to claim they're Irish. Unfortunately, it's not March.
But why? Why the Irish? They're as lonely as the French. Like the bottom of Europeans are French and Irish.
Here's the thing: every white woman was a Cherokee, and every white person's Irish in America. That's the
thing. Fair enough.
This is definitely Bumpkin when he's trying to grift. This is Bumpkin when he's talking about the potato famine.
Yeah, see, Orthodox. I just want Bumpkin to tell me where exactly he's from. I'll go visit. I'll go visit tomorrow. I'll jump on the train. I'll go to Bumpkin's village in the UK. And I'm like, hey, I'm in your ancestors' land right here.
We don't have fat girls here. This is a no fat bitch stream.
Look, man, I don't claim I'm Irish, but I am one of the real simple-minded people that claim to be Viking.
Oh,
the ones that jumped on that bandwagon when that series came out, Vikings, and then all of a sudden,
I too watched Vikings.
It's a hard ass show, ain't it? It's a hard ass show, ain't it?
Whenever somebody claims to be pagan, I'm like, I too watched Vikings.
By the way, I went to Sweden and they told me like that show is a lie.
Hey man, I've been coming. No, yeah, Vikings didn't call themselves Vikings, but man, I've been coming in and out of the stream for the last 4. The Vikings didn't call themselves Vikings.
And
that was a name. That was brought up here about. But this dude that's been talking for 4 hours probably knows.
Oh.
Damn, he got quiet.
Wow. Is that Orthodox or Bumpkin? No, which one?
Which one?
Nah.
It's like I went for 11 hours and 30 minutes.
How fucking hard? That's awesome. You're almost there, ain't you?
Yeah, no, that's definitely my watch hours done.
I came in with
200 or 300 away.
I came in with Marathon Kev when everybody come rolling in, and I just been punching in and out since I started work today. But fuck it, I'm off. I was gonna raise a little bit of hell and hang out with you guys, get that Hey, do you get watch hours for the panelists as the panelists are up?
No, you have to be watching on YouTube.
Damn. I'll drop straight the fuck out just to help out, man. I ain't
No,
lying.
you're good. You're good. I like content on the panel, but let's finish watching this. This is a
Let's do
20-minute video.
Son and daughter were ecstatic over what he'd seen. After reeling from the initial shock of this sighting, he then drives home. So days later, he goes to work and actually discusses this experience with several other coworkers. Despite the rareness of having a sighting as strange as Patrick's, several of his coworkers actually inform him that a multitude of hunters, fishermen, and barge operators in the same area of his sighting have also had multiple of their own. And there's even a rumor that apparently a clan of these creatures live in the area, but are apparently not harmful to humans, especially after our last story. Now, after this is when him and his son began
Pause it real fast.
more about Bigfoot, and they would stumble upon the largest
just say clan?
database on the internet, the BFRO. And so Patrick would submit his encounter to this database and was actually contacted by Matthew Moneymaker. The two would speak over the phone, and Matthew Moneymaker actually had this to say about Patrick. His is a very reliable sighting. I spoke extensively with the witness by phone. Patrick Garver is 59 years old, has been a design engineer for the past 38 years, designing parts for custom welding machines. He is married and has 2 kids in college. He was not particularly interested in the subject, but he recognized what he was seeing. He was driving 70 miles per hour and didn't slow down much until he reached the next town. He kept going, then stopped in Havana, the next town, to text his wife and kids to say he had seen a Bigfoot cross the highway. He was driving north, and the figure was running frighteningly fast across the highway from left to right into an open field. He commented that the pin position shown below may be off somewhat. He thinks it happened a bit further north on 78, further into the open field. There was no cover on either side of the road at that point, so it is impossible for him to pinpoint the exact crossing point. He agreed to make a sketch of the figure so it can be added to this report later. He was surprised that this is the first posted visual sighting report for this county, Cass County, Illinois, but he noticed the next county to east has 13 posted reports total, and a county nearby to the north has 12 posted reports. He noted that Cass County is very sparsely populated, only 12,000 people. So it sounds like Garver in this story definitely saw something. He just doesn't know what it is. And based on his description, it was something huge, and it's covered in black hair, and it bounded across Route 78 in 2 leaps in the middle of November. Now, Route 78 is known to be a pretty lonely road, so there's not a ton of people around to see this thing that Garver is describing. Something you guys need to understand is that just 300 miles south of Chandlerville, Illinois, sits the Mark Twain National Forest. This national park alone is a hotbed for all sorts of sightings and encounters with the mysterious and supernatural. In fact, a popular Bigfoot podcast on YouTube called Sasquatch Theory, located in Hannibal, Missouri, 4 men from Missouri came forward to recount their own horrifying run-ins, all of which took place near or in the Mark Twain National Forest, a place where people have reported possible Sasquatch sightings for decades now. It was here that the 4 Missouri men all would recount their own encounters of the strange and unexplainable.
I'm looking at his feet, and as he makes his bend into the feet, jumping in the ditch, and the hair comes all the way down to the edge of his foot. I look under his feet, and it's jet black.
The first of the men described in detail about witnessing a horrible-looking creature. He described it as being humanoid, covered with brownish hair, but that it had a particularly odd feature. It had black soles on its feet. And the second man, who had a terrifying sighting in his own right, heard strange grunting noises coming from where he would describe as a large upright figure that was barely visible at the time due to the complete lack of lighting. And in a complete fear-driven response, he fires 5 warning shots, bum, 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 directly over this thing's head to try and get it to stop coming towards him. It then elicits more of a grunting noise and then vanishes into the darkness. He can vividly remember the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end as he waits for what seemed like an eternity before finally this thing passed completely out of sight and into the woods. The third eyewitness would discuss how while they were out in the Mark Twain National Forest, they witnessed a host of strange and bizarre circumstances they could not explain. Now, firstly, they witnessed a large bipedal creature that resembled what they thought was Bigfoot at around 75 yards away. They would also witness a large rock that came hurling through the air in their direction, and also believed that it was caused by the same creature, believing that these beings possess great supernatural strength. The fourth recounted that while he was in the same area during the wintertime and practically knee-deep in snow is when he had his own experience. Off in the distance, he spotted what appeared to be a large, hairy, bipedal creature of some kind. As if these accounts weren't enough to leave you wondering about what the cause for these phenomena could be, it's also worth noting that Missouri, like many other areas known for sightings of strange creatures in the woods, has produced a fair amount of reports on Bigfoot. Some of these include unidentifiable creatures being spotted, along with massive footprints being discovered, huge trees being snapped in half by something with extraordinary strength, and people are even claiming to have heard loud, strange screams and calls echoing through the wilderness. So, is the creature that Patrick Garver and these four men and countless other eyewitnesses claim to have seen Bigfoot? I want to hear your answers below, so stop right now and comment down below what you think. Now, as for the real identity of the creatures that were witnessed by these five men, it unfortunately remains a mystery. In the early 1990s, 7 native boys from the island of Umboy in Papua New Guinea were playing and having a great time together. And one of the boys had the idea that they should go exploring out in the jungles, and the others followed along as they would make their way outside the village. And the boy suggested that they should try and climb up to Crater Lake, which was quite close to their village, so it would be relatively easy to get back if they absolutely had to. But little did they know what awaited them. And so as they hiked up towards the lake, they would anticipate the breathtaking views that awaited them, which was called Lake Pung. But when they finally arrived at their destination, what should have been a peaceful retreat turned into a fight for survival. Out of nowhere, this horrifying flying creature came swooping down, trying to actually grab at them, but fortunately wasn't able to, and actually maintained a good 300 feet above the surface of the lake as it swooped around and scanned for its potential human prey. The boys were so frightened by this sighting, what they would describe as a large flying creature, all 4 of them fled back to their village as fast as they possibly could. And so it's important to consider that these boys had little to no contact with the outside world, and therefore were not exposed to information or any ideas that could have influenced their reporting. Under these circumstances, the fact that they are reporting something so unique is compelling. However, during this time period, nobody attempted to interview or record what they saw immediately, and as a result, their accounts did not get the proper attention until 1994, when the scientific community was in disbelief due to the sighting of the Ropen. This would cause 2 American men, Carl Baugh and a missionary named James Bloom, who were able to interview the boys that they had seen the Ropen. Now, they were instructed to go back to Lake Pung, and if they saw the rare creature, to try and photograph or film it. Now, Baugh and Plume subsequently went on 2 separate expeditions to Lake Pung, but were unfortunately unsuccessful in capturing the animal on camera. Now, fast forward to 2004, an American forensic videographer, Jonathan Whitcomb, traveled to Umboy Island and interviewed Gideon, who's now an adult, along with 2 other adults who had been present during the initial sighting years prior. Gideon, whose native tongue isn't English but does speak some, explained that after being at the lake for a few minutes after they had arrived, this thing came down at them. And he explained that it was brown in color, but it did not possess any feathers on its body, ruling out the
I'm
possibility
I'm
it
tired
was a
of this
large
nigga.
bird of
I'm,
prey
I'm,
of
I'm
some
tired
kind.
of this.
In fact, he actually referenced the
Lordy
skin
Lord.
as being more akin to that of a fruit bat. But unfortunately, Gideon had not observed the head long enough to give accurate detail or provide further information on it. However, he did see the mouth, which he compared it looked similar to the mouth of a crocodile. The tail was described to be incredibly long, what some of the eyewitnesses stated to be at least 7 meters in length. Now, in the time that had passed since these men's sighting as boys, none of their details had ever changed. Everything corroborated between them remained. It gave him a sense of credibility, and he was able to confirm that these stories were virtually identical to the 1994's rendition. The interview was profound enough for Jonathan to actually leave the island and believe that large pterosaurs still exist and live harmoniously on this island. Something important to understand about the culture that lives here: local inhabitants of this particular island have long shared rumors of flying creatures or ropens, even going so far as to describe the animals in some detail. But the stories all had one common theme: the creatures were hostile and preferred to eat meat. This ropen, as described by Gideon, was unlike any known bird or bat, challenging skeptics who would later attempt to dismiss these accounts by likening the sightings to known animals or just natural phenomena that could be explained away. But in 1944, following World War II, Western missionaries began to explore the region of Umboy, Papua New Guinea, and their presence led to a growing number of reports of ropen sightings: a huge bird-like creature with a long neck, distinctive head crest, and massive wingspans of about 25 feet, resembling creatures depicted on a 1595 sea chart flying above New Guinea. Imagine that. One famous account comes from Dwayne Hodgkinson, who, while exploring the jungle of Umboy in 1944, claimed to have seen a giant creature with leathery wings, long tail, and a head that closely matched what people describe as the ropen. Now, amazing similarities can be found in the sightings of the large flying creatures, or ropens, by Dwayne Hodgkinson and Gideon, because both encounters occurred at separate instances, but on the same island of Umboy, Papua New Guinea. Gideon, of course, was a child at the time, playing with his friends near Lake Pung when a terrifying creature appeared. But in contrast, Dwayne Hodgkinson's sighting was in the jungle, whereas Gideon's sighting was by the lake. However, descriptions of the creatures by both Gideon and Dwayne are uncannily similar: creatures with leathery wings and long tails, leading many to believe that the ropen is a real living creature that inhabits this island. So, in summary, we have intriguing and compelling reports from natives of this island in Papua New Guinea of what may be two separate species of pterosaurs, or large flying reptiles of some kind. We see similar reports in Indonesia with the orang bati, as well as reports of a glowing dragon known as the jurik seen in Sunda, Indonesia. Now, furthermore, in the 1990s, 2 American men have attempted to document the smaller of the two creatures, and most recently, in 2017, we have a group that is potentially sighting more flying creatures near their border of Cambodia and Vietnam. So now, I want to know your thoughts on what these creatures are. Do you believe these are all mistaken identifications of known creatures, or is this perhaps a hoax? Or, like the late Jonathan Whitcomb, are the reports so convincingly authentic that one can only logically conclude that these large flying reptiles exist and are part of the families we refer to as pterosaurs? Even in the fall of 2004, the park staff at Genesis Park would embark on a 3-week research trip to Siassi Island, which is just off the coast of Papua New Guinea. And people living on the south side of the island had reported intriguing sightings of a creature known as the ropen, and so Genesis Park wanted to verify these claims. To ensure only the most accurate sightings of the ropen were ever being included in their research, the park staff would employ the use of black and white profiles to test the credibility of their eyewitnesses. And so, after carefully conducting dozens of interviews with the use of these profiles, the staff would put together a composite drawing of the rope-in, which would highlight the most likely characteristics to form an image of what this mysterious creature could look like. Now, based on their reporting, the creature most closely resembles the Dimorphodon pterosaur with the addition of a head crest and dermal bumps, and an estimated wingspan of anywhere between 15 to 20 feet. In the fall of 2006, witnesses have reported seeing glowing creatures flying along the ridges and mountainsides of several of the Bismarck archipelago islands, as well as in parts of northwestern Papua New Guinea. But most remarkably are the indigenous reports.
Is this hurting your head?
Good Lord, that was painful. It was constant rambling. Look at the chat saying, Clockwork Orange, MK Ultra. Someone said, "Oh, wait, did the OG leave?" What happened?
This guy has a punchable demeanor. I don't like that, honestly, for some reason. I have a cryptic experience. Clockwork Orange. That is a large, scary chicken.
Basically, yeah.
I love how man, it's like people were saying this is MK Ultra. Vanta, that's literally you in the chat saying that.
But look, Mr. said Clockwork Orange is based on MK Ultra, the movie. Bastard. That was painful. Because we were like, okay, can we pause? Can we speak? This guy was rambling for half an hour, sir. Your twin, by the way. Your twin. Yeah.
I don't like your fucking attitude.
And by the way, Bumpkin, earlier you were like, hey, Vanta, Bumpkin, tell me exactly. Where are you from again in the UK? Remind me.
West Yorkshire.
Oh, Yorkshire. Oh, Yorkshire. See, from the Midlands. So that area just got conquered by the Muslims. Sorry, sir. Pakistanis.
It's every area in. It's every.
No, but mainly Yorkshire.
Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm not joking.
I don't care.
Your microphone sounds like it was abducted by Muslims or whatever you just said. Why you sound like you're in a barrel, dog?
Who?
What are y'all?
No, you sound good, Bubba. The other cat. Introduce me, Bumpkin. I don't think I know him, do I?
This is Vanta. Vanta.
Vanta. Yeah. Nice to see you
again, I'm a Muslim. Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
Habibi, كيف حالك? يا ولد.
Cum Pop's Revenge. Sorry, Cum Pops. I need to go to bed. Corn Pop's Revenge. He's fucking back. You haven't seen him in forever. He says that guy sucks dino dicks for sure. That's crazy. It says back when I used to boar hunt, I was up in a tree with my gun, and I seen a hot dog in the forest and pulled my gun up to my cheeks, and I saw the damn thing stand up and look at me. Get the fuck out of there. Wait, you saw the boar stand up?
That wasn't a boar, buddy. That was a skinwalker.
Skinwalker said, "Let me run this fade." Skinwalker said, "Let me run this fade."
You think about the mass of a boar.
Bring me that sweet ass, baby. Y'all realize that we did a vote and that turned out to be Bumpkin, right? Y'all saying all this shit about the dude.
That's why I got triggered. I'm like, enough with Bumpkin. Half an hour, Bumpkin just yapping. I was like, I can't do it. I just can't.
I can't,
bro. I can't do it.
All right, Panfuza, the topic of the stream is the second part of the 24-hour stream. Brassawa, I thought that was a porn bomb for a minute, Dave. That scared the shit out of me.
Well, you don't know what I got on. You don't know what I got on.
He looks like a Yorkshire guy. He looks like he came from Yorkshire.
Fake French.
That Frenchman looks like a fucking wizard.
Fake French.
Jelly as fuck.
Look at you, Musketeer. Which one are you? D'Artagnan? Which one are you? One of the Musketeers. Which one are you? With that hair.
Me and my weak ass ponytail, and you got all that luscious hair, dog. You a stud, motherfucker. You is a stud.
Pause. Pause.
I'm making
Tell me, man.
sausage.
Oh, and you got the voice too. Oh my god.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But
Like
no,
I look like an exact mixture. I look like an exact mixture of Panfusa and Bumpkin.
Yo, Lauren said Caucasian.
I am literally the love child of Panfusa and Bumpkin.
Why do you say this shit, man? Jesus Christ!
Because it makes you act strange and embarrassed.
You know, it's
You're saying gay
getting up.
shit in front of the hose, dude. What the fuck?
No, you gotta say
But
you gotta say no.
if the hoes like the gay shit.
No,
The true question. The true
You
question.
just gotta say, yeah.
Here's the true question: who's the top and who's the bottom?
No,
man.
That's a good question.
That's between you and Bumpkin to find out.
Hey man, men,
I'm bumping up in that gun.
men can verify when another man is a stud muffin, but you gotta add no homo at the end of it if you know homo. You know what I mean?
You look like the love child of Bumpkin and meth. That's mean.
That's fucked up. That's haram. Yeah.
Don't worry, you'll be my Matthew.
Bumpkin's the Bumpkin's the equivalent of a cutie patootie. You know what I'm saying?
Did Bumpkin carry you to term?
Yeah, you know, I helped him along the entire way. I made sure he was pretty much healthy.
I want you to know, Bumpkin Panfusi, I better not let me get a hold of 2 pictures of y'all because I'm gonna make you pregnant. I'm gonna do maternity photos of you and Bumpkin now.
Bumpkin, I highly advise go back to Yorkshire and convert to Islam. Join
Bumpkin.
I just want to say, I ain't even drunk yet. You know what I'm saying?
But you're drunk now. You're drunk.
Power bottoms.
But what I was trying to say is, because like how I was talking about my cryptic experience, it's no dead ass. That fucking boar stood up and looked at me. And the thing is that you said
I knew
something
exactly
about
what you was talking about when you said that. The mass of the boar, and then it's standing up. Like I knew because like from the hills. Look, speaking of, that was one of the white Sasquatch. Okay, hold on.
Hey, bring it back up.
Yeah,
Pump the brakes.
The rise of the clown cult.
Trying to make clowns sexy.
I am in. I'm in.
First of all, what do you mean trying? First of all,
he had to make it hetero again. He made it hetero again.
Oh, you know, give a little bit of to that. You know.
The bigger question is, did Bumpkin breastfeed Ortho?
That's a mental nightmare. Mental nightmare.
Odds are open.
It's required a C-section.
Damn.
Bumpkin has said, "This is what you did to me" on multiple occasions.
Is that the real Imperious in the chat? And he ain't even
of course it is.
Yeah, I think it is the real.
He needs to come up here and get booted off. Come on, dog.
Nah, come on, don't do that.
No.
Wait, it's been 2 hours, so I did a griff break. We're about to do a funny video break in the stream.
All right.
Because we're binge watching Hugbees. Then we're gonna get, if Panfusa's still up here, then we're gonna get to Panfusa's cryptid story
experience.
Hey, somebody send my $20 and I'll pay you back tomorrow.
And then I'm getting I have a 15 true, disturbing, and cryptid and skinwalker story video for us to go through. It's an hour long. So let's fucking go.
Wake up.
Dennison's not on here. He never came back. I think he went to sleep.
Hey, and I might too. I was literally been up all night. But if I'm gonna be muted though, you ain't gonna hear my sloppy ass snoring. If you think that I'm out, fucking kick me. Unless you want
Will do.
to. No. But I'm gonna be here, dog. Let's get this.
All right, let's go.
Often called China after the country that
Wait, support the Griffno State. Everybody's welcome, but everybody's got to pay.
invented it more than 1,200 years ago. It looks delicate, but is actually the hardest type of ceramic material.
Oh, by the way, if the stream goes down because Hugbees also had a problem with copyright BS when he made these parodies, so I know it's not him. It's the copyright algorithm. If the stream goes down for copyright violations, just stick around. Tell me in the chat. I'll stop playing it about 20 seconds after we stop playing it. We'll come back.
It's
Hey,
even
bro,
used
I
in
think that's
electrical
good.
insulation.
I think that's a good thing to chime in every now and then, whether you're just saying some bullshit or whatever.
Yeah.
And nobody
Hold the
wants to
speech.
hear it. And then if you speed it up a little bit too, I think that helps keeps it from getting red.
Yeah, true.
Just, but I don't want to ruin the vibes, you know.
Because it withstands very high heat. But most people think of China as decorative. China as we know it today was invented in 1949 when communist revolutionary leader Mao Zedong officially declared its creation following the Chinese Civil War, as seen in this sketch. China's government today follows a mold and plaster model. Any new laws are created on a negative made of plaster to test their shape and effectiveness in government policy. The three current rulers of China are legendary Shaolin warriors, Feldsmith, Kalen, and Quartz. A piece of their soul is imbued in each bit of Chinese manufacturing. The national sport of China is called filling the oddly shaped bucket. Here we see the trophy for first prize, hidden inside the lucky winner's bucket. Toilets in China are very, very tiny, because 95% of Chinese people don't have an anus. The 5% who do are known as butt boys.
What the fucking hell? What did he say? What did he say?
Have an anus. Toilets in China are very, very tiny, because 95% of Chinese people don't have an anus. The 5% who do are known as butt boys.
Butt boys!
In an emergency, these tiny
That
toilets
caught me
can
off
often
guard.
double as public drinking fountains.
I had a whole ass drink of something in my mouth. And hey,
After
man, I don't
viewing
know
this
how to
footage,
drop my
please
link in the
remind me to
back
teach
there.
you about.
You right click your link, you hit copy, and then you paste it.
I got it copied, but I ain't ever chatted in the back chat. What do I hit
Just
down
hit,
here?
just hit private chat, and there's a chat box that says chat with everyone in the studio. You tap if you're on a phone, you tap that. If you're on a computer, you right click and hit paste.
Sexual education in China.
My bad.
It's all good, Bubba.
In China, time is measured via a hole punch system. Right now, it's about 12 o'clock. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Sunyi. Now we'll never know what fucking time it is. Technology in China has advanced far enough to create living robots. Here you can see them bleed, sweat, and die. If you feel bad for the robot who was just killed and had his face fashioned into a dinner plate, don't. He was a racist.
Well, now I feel even worse for him.
Yo, Bumpkin, are you there? Imperius just sent me the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And I want to play it. I want to show it. But, oh, man.
Well, do you need Bumpkin? Does Bumpkin have to be involved?
Oh,
there he is.
Do what you want, bro. I'm going to bed.
You going to bed?
Yes, sir. Do what you want.
Going to bed, dude. It's 2:51 in the afternoon.
I haven't slept yet,
Bumpkin's on
technically.
that. Bumpkin's on
I
that
slept.
bucket right now.
Go to bed. Jesus.
I like he said 2:52 in the afternoon. It's like damn it 9 p.m. for me. I should be in bed.
Oh no. Imperious dog.
Y'all ain't ever getting that image out of y'all's head now.
No, man. I'm fucked.
You know what? I'm gonna rewind that and see the image.
I'm gonna actually go kill myself now. All right, boys, have fun.
No, you can't sit on
Take
YouTube.
it
You can't
easy.
sit on YouTube, sir.
I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go kill myself.
Get it out now, brother. When y'all get monetized, you ain't gonna want to do that shit.
yeah, buddy.
Imperious, what I need you to do is I'm gonna need you to go to your nearest
Imperious
bridge
W.
in Florida.
Imperious W.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to go to your nearest bridge in Florida and jump off that bitch. Neck yourself, faggot. All right, I'm going to fucking bed. Fuck this
He's
shit.
the damn word.
Damn, brother.
Bumpkin ain't gonna sleep for a grip. He's hot as fuck right now. I mean, not
Kid
no
is
homo.
angry. No homo.
But by the way, Imperious, pull up, man. Pull up. Hit the link. Come through, like come through. Come on.
China are uncomfortably cramped, containing nearly 30 pieces of decorative ceramics per citizen.
If Imperious is coming through, I'm just gonna preemptively take my channels off.
Here we see it.
Wait, what?
I still have a no Imperious rule on my show.
Oh.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know that.
No, you're Gucci. I'm not gonna be up here anyway, so
it's okay.
yeah. Everyone watching on my channel, go over to Orthodox Guys channel.
And yeah, chat. Bumpkin will delete himself in Warcraft. In Warcraft.
In Warcraft.
Yeah.
Get you a nap, bro. I need one, but I'm ready to ring this shit in, man. I'm excited for y'all.
A Chinese citizen moving to a new, more open concept home. Waterboarding never went out of style in China, but even more popular is witchcraft. This woman is casting a spell for more ceramic pots. The homes of the wealthy aren't all that much more impressive than the common folk. The only difference being that their decorative ceramics are shinier.
They have all the Beauty and the
As
Beast
seen here,
characters.
the internet in China is very rudimentary and only used for text communication. And now, as an added bonus, please enjoy China's oldest magic trick. The solid rubber tire is designed for off-
What the fuck was that?
You told me I was waiting for like a whole display.
I think the point was how weak it was.
Yeah.
Or no,
yeah,
they just did that shit through porcelain, right? Was that porcelain or clay?
Actually, it was.
I think they're trying to say, the Chinese are just, it's all fake. The whole shit's fake.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
Simple, fake, yeah.
Throat conditions
You're right.
such-
Alrighty. I'm gonna be real. We're 12 hours in. The donos haven't came in a lot.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired. It's late for everybody. Vanta, you've given me money.
Yeah, I
You wanna
extended.
keep
I don't
going?
know. No, you sound tired, bro. You sound KO. I'm not gonna extend if the banter's not there. I won't
No,
keep
I'm asking, do you want to keep going? Wasn't asking you to pay to extend.
Oh,
I'll get a second win sooner or later. We can watch.
you know what? Final hurrah! Yeah, keep going. Final hurrah! Final hurrah!
Okay, so
yeah, let's go.
For the last video, we're not going to do the extraterrestrial encounter. That one's been up since this morning, but it's an iceberg video. So, do y'all want to do the 15 most disturbing encrypted skinwalker scary stories and horror movies to fall asleep to, exploring weird Georgia folklore, or the bizarre side of missing 411 national appearances?
You paid Vanta. You get the same.
Yeah, I was hoping for a thirst trap. How did you know that I clicked on that?
I was looking for something more funny. All right, go for the third
yeah.
option.
Oh, here you go. Nah.
Yeah, I want funny. I don't want no
Lauren is the fucking goat.
Based Lauren, W. Lauren, Vanta Lauren. Shout out to Vanta Lauren.
She fucking sent the best thirst trap.
Thank God.
That is nice. I could I could watch that on repeat for like a million
You know,
years.
also, you could put my whole PayPal money extension on that.
and the bitch is petite too. That's I like that.
Perfect,
You can grab that bitch by the hips and wear that shit out the frame. That's
You know what,
nice.
Lauren? I want Lauren to be my wingman, wing woman. I think Lauren W. That show is fun.
Lauren always comes through for the win. She a sneaky little butthole and sometimes plays pranks and give you like nasty shit when you expecting something hot. But like,
I like that.
She brings.
And she's a forehead cousin. She's
nigga, what are you talking about? You always be trying to fight and argue over the lamest of shit. Like the females that the females that are on our channel are not ugly. I just don't have many of them because I don't really want to give donos to everybody, like women to donos all the time. It's kind of dumb. I want some funny and comedy donos too.
Mm-hmm. Quality over quantity. Simple. Simple.
I usually stutter when I see hot shit. W. Lauren.
W. Yeah. I'm sorry. Listen. The British are known for stuttering. The habit, you know.
No. I usually see stutter when I hot shit me.
All right, I'm getting tired, so I'm gonna make the decision. This is an hour long. I'm gonna be on my phone in the air conditioner in the next room. If you want me to pause it, I'll be watching along with y'all on my phone. If you want me to pause it and you want to give some banter on it,
I'll definitely give banter because God damn, a whole hour of Steamwalker.
Yeah, if you want to give banter or you want to have a discussion, just say, "Hey, pause it. Give me a few minutes to get up and come in here and like pause it, and then we can have some banter on it." Feel free to talk over it, you two. But I am fucking dying of heat stroke, so we're gonna watch some horror. We're gonna watch.
You're dying from heat stroke. I'm laughing because either I have to laugh or I have to die. I have two options because I'm dying of the heat.
Good evening, all, and welcome. Tonight I have a chilling collection of cryptid stories for you to enjoy.
British. I like the voice.
So buckle up, because it's time to get comfortable.
All right, before we go, everybody, if you don't mind contributing to the hangout and the chill, we've been going for 12 hours. It is a part 2 because we've been going for 12 hours, but this one is probably not going to last that long. In fact, I'm actually thinking about just ending it now.
Because thing, dude. Hey, rest up, bro.
You're the captain of shit.
I need a nap too. I'd love to jump on later and party with y'all.
But the way Orthodox, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that wasn't a shot at you, Vanta. That was a skit I always do. Like when I get around.
Nigga, I've been going for over 12 hours. Ending after the thirst trap is wild AF. Yeah, you know what? It's a good place to end it. In fact, hold on. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to end it right here. Hold on. In fact, I got the perfect way to end it right here.
The closing statement. Bam.
We're going to stare at this for about 10 minutes and I'm going to end the stream.
Perfect.
The music is nice too.
Yeah, just let this shit roll for about an hour, dog.
It's a vibe. I open up my window, I feel the wind while I'm moving my ass. Perfect. Perfect vibes.
See, I love this type of music. Like when I'm fucking stoned or high on shrooms, I like to get in a really nice, cold, cool fucking place and just fucking big chill and relax and like have headphones on, listen to music like this. This is like,
and that's why this thing is my N word. Yeah, sniff. Yeah.
Yeah. Stream need. Well, why don't you pay for the baptism, Oxycat?
Wait, how do you say that name? Was it
Oxycat?
Okay.
OXO. It's Pussycat.
I'm gonna do OXO. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna do y'all like that. I am. We are gonna watch the. But we're gonna watch it all the way through, unless something with copyright goes down. We're gonna watch the scary. We're gonna watch the scary movie all the way, or the scary stuff all the way through.
Oh my god.
Real. I did hear that the speeding it up or whatever, changing the speed of it does kind of thwart the copyright bullshit.
It does. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it also ruins the mood of the horror.
Yeah, it does knock the vibe a little bit. But it's whatever, though.
All and welcome. Tonight I have a chilling collection of cryptid stories for you to enjoy. So buckle up, because it's time to get
guys. This is going to be an hour and 12 minutes, and we're just going to shoot through this. Remember, if you feel like supporting the channel, supporting the Hangout, support the Griff No State, Cash App in the bottom. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's got to pay. If you donate, you'll get some booty. Appreciate you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here chilling with us. But again, I'm going to watch this with y'all. If anybody on the panel wants to pause and have a discussion, just say, hey, pause, and I'll get up, come in here, and out of the nice, cool air conditioning, and I'll come and pause it, and we can have a discussion. Anybody who wants to join the panel, just tell me in the chat, and wants to have a conversation in the chat, or anybody who wants to join the panel, just tell me in the chat and I'll come and let you up. And if you want to have a conversation, then we can have a conversation. Support the Griff No State. Thank you for being here, hanging out, and enjoying the scary stuff. If you are in the chat and you have a scary story, your own supernatural thing, let us know, because that's been mainly what the show's about. We've been trying to find the scariest stuff on YouTube to watch that could be based on reality, or that is a good little scary thing to do. But we've mainly been here for people in the community's ghost stories. I'm thinking I'm gonna do this type of stream at least once a week, maybe once a month, depending on how much we grow. By the way, I started this stream at 171. Now I'm at 182 subscribers. Let's fucking go. Please like, share, and subscribe. I have noticed that ever since I started growing, I have a large percentage of people watching that are not subscribed. So please subscribe. Subscribe your sock account. Subscribe your grandma. Subscribe your cousins. I would appreciate it. I already know that I'm past my view hours for monetization. I have at least 3,000, although it hasn't updated on YouTube side because it takes about a week to update. And I know that I am very much ahead of it. And I'm just waiting. This is probably going to be another 12-hour stream. So we'll probably, it depends on if I got my second win or not, but it is cooling down where I'm at. So after I chill out in the air condition for a little bit, I might be cool enough to go another 12 hours. Again, please please donate to the channel if you like what we're doing. Hey, Vay, how you doing? We're doing a supernatural stream this time. So, Santa, you can buy an AC. They have AC in the UK, don't they? Or is it like incredibly
it's overpriced and highly not the logistics is not gonna work in the household. Goofy. Yeah, UK is goofy. Yeah.
Fair. All right, we're gonna watch this. Remember, guys, if you want to hop on panel, or you want to, you guys on the panel want me to stop it so we could talk about it, I will be back. But I am just hot and cannot sit in here any longer, and I don't really want to end it because I'm having fun.
Orthodox, I have a plan. I have a plan. No video. Can we just banter? Like, if people just come on and we just conversate. Like,
yeah, but there's only two of y'all, and there's only two of y'all right now.
Well, the more the merrier, people.
Personally, for me too, like I might punch in and say something, but there won't be any need to pause it at all. It gets confusing when it, you know what I'm saying? So I'll just punch in, kind of over it a little bit, and then it won't be necessary if you see me light up to stop it.
Is
You won't have to stop
just Becca part of the clown cult that's trying to make clowns sexy? That's crazy.
It's just working.
I mean, I like to see women be more like clowns, to be fair with you.
I mean, yeah, those clowns are pretty hot, especially the one with the nose ring.
The redhead.
I have my own personal experience with demonic possession, but I feel like I need to write this shit down because I have a problem articulating it because I start reliving it and it fucks me up. So I might just write that shit down. I might even record my own video for my channel, and that might be when I bust out my channel for growth or whatever, and make a video or some shit and
That's
talk about it.
Fucking hilarious. I still don't know who Mel or Resto is. Resto came up here earlier. I still really don't know who he is. Like, I've seen him around now, but like when I told him I didn't know who he was on Kev's channel, he got a little angry at me.
Hey, what? I make
Base, let's go.
What the? Oh, okay.
Congratulations on your survival and your healing. That is base. That is awesome. Stay strong. Stay proud.
Is that real? Like, is that real testimony, or is it?
She said that is just. She said that is just Bex. I mean, yeah, y'all pay me.
All right, let's rock, yo.
Based. All right, we're gonna watch some scary stuff. If you guys want to come up, let me know.
And let the darkness.
Who's the producer? That would either be Lauren, me, or Bumpkin, because Lauren puts in work getting us clips. So, yeah, no, Lauren, you're the producer. You've been promoted from mod to producer.
Take control.
All right, I'm stepping away, guys.
My dad never believed in the paranormal. No ghosts, no aliens, no Bigfoot, none of it. He was a practical man, raised in the woods of Missouri, and he lived his life rooted in what he could see, hear, and touch. That's why I never forgot the look on his face when he finally told me this story. He didn't speak of it until I was grown, and even then, his hands trembled just recalling it. I'd never seen my dad scared before. Not like that. This happened back in 1960, during one of his many late-night coon hunts. He and a close buddy of his, another seasoned woodsman, had taken their dogs out to a small conservation area about 5 miles from the house. It's a peaceful stretch of land, mostly untouched, with a cold spring that runs through it, primitive campsites and some old picnic tables scattered here and there. In the daytime, it's the kind of place you take your family for a picnic. But at night, it becomes something else entirely. They arrived sometime after dark. The air was warm and still, typical Missouri summer night. My dad said they let the dogs loose and sat on the tailgate of the truck, listening to them work the woods. These were well-trained hounds, loyal, disciplined animals that knew the job. Eventually, the dogs treed a coon, and the men followed their barks through the undergrowth. The tree wasn't far, maybe 10 to 15 minutes from the truck. They leashed the dogs and gave them some praise, and were just turning to head back when something changed. The dogs, who had been calm and focused moments before, suddenly dropped their tails and began to whimper. My dad's biggest male hound, a dog that had been through dozens of hunts and was afraid of nothing, started shaking. Then he yanked hard, broke free of my dad's grip, and took off into the woods whining like a pup. Then they heard it. A low, guttural sound like a growl, but not like any animal they'd encountered before. It wasn't a bobcat, it wasn't a bear, and it definitely wasn't human. My dad said it was a deep, bone-vibrating growl that didn't seem to come from one place but all around them. Then came heavy, deliberate footsteps circling them. Now these were two men who knew the forest better than most people know their own homes. They were armed, experienced, and did not scare easy. But whatever this was, it stayed just outside the beam of their headlamps. Every time they turned, they caught nothing, just shadows and a crackle of brush. Then came the chattering. He described it as a kind of whispered mutter, fast and erratic, like someone talking to themselves in a language that wasn't meant to be heard. It circled with footsteps, stalking them, intelligent and watching. That was when my dad drew his gun and fired 2 shots into the air. The sound exploded through the trees, and then everything went dead silent. No wind, no insects, just movement. Just this eerie, unnatural stillness pressing in on them. They didn't wait. Which few hadn't bolted and made a straight line for the truck. When they got there, my dad's big male hound, the one who ran, was already waiting for them. He was curled under the tailgate, trembling like a leaf. My dad said the other dogs were cowering, tails tucked, some even trying to climb into their laps. That alone was chilling. These were hunting dogs, born and bred for rough conditions, but they looked absolutely broken. Then they checked the time. What should have been 30 to 40 minutes at most had somehow taken over 2 hours. Neither man could account for it. They hadn't wandered, hadn't gotten turned around. The trees had been close. There was no way they were out there for that long. But the clock didn't lie. He said they never told anyone, not a soul, only each other. My dad didn't even tell my mum the whole story until later that night. She told me, after he passed, that he came home pale as a sheet. A man who had faced down wild animals, storms, even armed strangers in the woods. And that was the only time she'd ever seen him truly shaken. He told me once before he died, "I don't know what was out there. I just know it wasn't supposed to be." Whatever stalked them in those woods that night, it wasn't animal. It wasn't human. And it sure as hell wasn't afraid of 2 men with guns and a pack of dogs. My family is Russian. Both my parents are from Siberia, born and raised in a city called Omsk. About 5 years ago, I had a conversation with my dad. It started off normal, but soon veered into something unexpected. We began talking about paranormal experiences in our lives. I asked him why he believed in Yetis. This surprised me, because my dad isn't the kind of man who believes in ghosts, aliens, or anything supernatural. He's a practical, no-nonsense type. But Yetis? He told me he's convinced they're real. He sat up straight, cleared his throat, and began sharing his story. When my dad was in his 20s, he served in the military. He was stationed at a place called Sputnik, a small village close to the Russian border with Norway. If you look it up on a map, you can still see the old barracks and the remainder of the military camp. It's remote, harsh, and surrounded by dense forest and rivers. In that military camp, all the heavy-duty equipment and supplies were stored far away from the soldiers, deep inside the forest in warehouses built to be isolated from human activity. One night, a group of 10 men, including my dad, were assigned to restock one of these warehouses. It was grueling work, loading trucks with heavy ammunition and gear. They set off late, but the journey took longer than expected. They got a flat tire on the rough dirt roads. When they finally reached the warehouse, near a small city on the banks of the river, a place called Lovezero, it was already pitch black. The only light was the faint shimmer of stars overhead, filtered through a cold, heavy sky. They decided to stay overnight. The men were exhausted and needed to rest to do the heavy lifting the next day. There was a dugout nearby, a simple shelter with a sod roof covered in grass. They all laid down on the wooden floor inside, expecting to quickly doze off. But for some reason my dad couldn't. Something felt off. He stayed awake, laying there in the dark listening. When he glanced around, he realized he wasn't the only one lying awake. Every single man had his eyes open, staring at the ceiling or into the darkness. That feeling of unease was thick in the air, a creeping discomfort, like the forest itself was watching. And after a while it turned into a mild but gnawing fear. Then it started. A heavy thumping on the sod roof. At first, just a few uncertain footsteps, then heavier and deliberate, like someone or something was walking above them. The roof creaked under the weight. Each step echoed, reverberating through the thin wooden beams. The noise wasn't random. It was unmistakable, the sound of a large creature pacing slowly and circling. Hearts started pounding. The men's breathing became rapid and shallow. One of them began hyperventilating, his breath coming in ragged gasps. My dad said he could feel the vibrations in his chest, like the thumping was shaking his very insides. Then one of the shoulders passed out from sheer terror. Through the dim light, someone dared to open his eyes and peek outside. What he saw was a shadow, a massive silhouette looming near the edge of the dugout. It didn't come inside, but it watched them, silent, immense. Eventually the footsteps stopped, and the creature disappeared into the darkness. Only then did the men allow themselves to relax and drift off to a restless sleep. The next day, my dad's friend asked a local about the strange event. The local said it was nothing unusual in these parts. In fact, he gave the phenomenon a name, one which my dad never remembered. Remember, this was during the Soviet era, a time when belief in spirits or anything otherworldly was condemned as superstition. Religion was banned, and people who even talked about ghosts or demons were looked down upon. My dad and his comrades were elite soldiers, deeply committed to the state ideology, strong, practical men who believed only in what they could see and touch. For all of them to be struck so deeply by the experience, to be paralyzed with fear in the middle of the Siberian wilderness, it's something my dad still can't explain. He told me the story like it was yesterday, pale-faced and serious, not a ghost story or a myth, but a memory ingrained deeply into his mind. That night in the forest, something came close enough to touch them. Something enormous, ancient perhaps, and it left a mark that no soldier could forget. It was mid-November 2023. I was 17, stuck in that strange limbo between being a kid and almost an adult. Winter had slammed in hard, dumping snow everywhere, the aftermath of a brutal storm that had shut everything down for a couple of days. Like most nights back then, we were out with no real plan, just wandering, exploring, doing the dumb kind of late-night adventures only people our age could get away with. There were 7 of us: me, Dylan, Julian, Logan, Josiah, Bobby, for some reason carrying a full-size axe, and Carlos. We'd already been chased off school property earlier that night, slipping through the fences and ducking into the woods. Eventually we found ourselves on this snowy trail near the ocean. Everything was dead quiet. No cars, no wind, not even the distant hum of life. The snow was perfect, untouched, like a thick white blanket stretched over the world, and only our footsteps marred it. That's when we saw the shed. It sat alone in a clearing, framed by tall, skeletal trees. It looked abandoned, paint peeling like old scabs, windows fogged and cracked, the whole place sagging under the weight of years of neglect. Of course, we had to check it out. Julian and I were the first to step up. I tried the door, stuck, maybe frozen. The air felt heavy, not quite spooky yet, just off somehow. Logan, Dylan, and Josiah caught up while Bobby and Carlos lingered nervously by the trail. Dylan managed to slide open a side window. It was a tight squeeze, but he slipped in first. Logan followed, and Josiah was halfway through it when everything changed. Because that's when we saw it. Me and Julian turned back towards the back of the shed, and there it was. Not a dog, not a man, but something caught in between. It had a human-like shape, but was all wrong. Pale, fur matted around its head, long, pointed Doberman ears, and dark eyes that reflected no light. It just stood there at the tree line, silent and unmoving, watching us. Julian froze. His voice cracked, half laughing, half panicked. Oh, a dog? But I saw it too. That was no dog. Josiah didn't hesitate. He wriggled backward out the window and bolted. Logan, seeing our faces, didn't even look. He just hurled himself through the window like he was dodging a bomb, screaming. Dude, that ain't no dog. Then he vanished into the woods. Dylan, stuck halfway through the window, was kicking and flailing like a trapped worm. Instead of trying to get out, he scrambled inside, kicked the shed door open from inside, and sprinted into the night. Me and Julian, we ran too, laughing because that's how we deal with fear. We laughed and screamed like maniacs as we tore through the snow.
Who's Julian?
Julian
I don't care
slipped,
about Julian.
face first into the powder, still laughing,
Julian.
until he looked back at the shed.
I don't care.
He froze. He shot up and ran faster than I'd ever seen, blowing past me, Bobby, and Carlos. It was like his life depended on it. There was no flashlight, just the eerie glow of the cloudy sky, brownish and thick above the snow. Logan's group gone, lost deeper into the woods.
Josiah,
We split
Julian,
up, scrambling
Liam.
to find each other again, breathless,
Names
half
are
laughing,
gay.
half shaking. We finally regrouped at the tunnel under the bridge, which was our usual hideout. Inside, it was pitch black.
Shout
We
out
used
to
dying
B.
phone screens and lighters for light. Near the trapdoor entrance, Dylan lit a lighter, and Logan snapped.
Dylan.
You moron! We sprinted for the other side of the tunnel, and once outside, Logan explained lighting a flame in a closed tunnel with trapped gas and only one way out could have blown the whole place up, and we'd
These
have
white
roasted alive.
white
Later,
cockazoids, like
back at Logan's house, the adrenaline wore off.
Where's Jerome?
Julian sat silent and trembling,
Where's
barely
Jermaine?
speaking. Logan did the
Where's
talking for
Leroy?
him. Bobby, Carlos, and Josiah hadn't gotten a good
Where's
look,
Ahmed?
but me and Dylan
Mohammed?
swore up and down we saw
Hussein?
something, and it wasn't a damn dog. A year later, in the summer of 2024, Julian,
Hector.
Bobby, Carlos, and myself went back.
All
The
these,
shed
all
was
these white
changed,
names.
renovated,
Too
bigger,
much white.
repainted. No more condensation on the windows, no more broken glass. Someone had come to repair it. Whatever had been there that night, whatever watched us, it was gone with the snow.
Beef British.
But that night lives rent-free in my head. Not because of what we did, but because of what we saw.
Also,
What
you
might
know,
have even followed us that night.
the most
And
popular
I still
British
hear
name is
Logan's
Mohammed
voice
today.
echoing across the
Mohammed is
snow-smothered woods.
British.
Dude,
Yeah. Where's
that
Mohammed?
ain't no dog. I don't think I'll ever forget it. This happened 2 summers ago in the Grand Tetons. My boyfriend at the time, now my husband, Harry, was a seasoned outdoorsman with a military background. He was studying ecology and eager to get into backpacking. He thought it was the perfect opportunity for my first real trip into the wilderness, just the 2 of us. 25 miles, completely off-grid. Now this place is spectacular, but not for the faint of heart. They're prime grizzly territory. The only bears I'd ever seen were black bears from the comfort of my car. Those big, grisly country signs posted every few miles didn't exactly ease my nerves.
This is not even a horror. This
Looked
is
like
some
a
Harry
walking
Potter
survival catalog.
mumble jumbo.
Machete hanging from his belt, knives on both hips, bear spray clipped at the ready. We were a mile into the hike, struggling up the relentless incline, both of us drenched in sweat and
This
panting
is
under
diabolical.
40-pound packs. You're supposed to make noise to avoid startling bears, but we were too winded to talk. About an hour in, the trail began leveling off. A
I wanna
fast-moving
watch
stream
the video
ran to
again.
our left.
Can we go
That's
back
when
to
I
Lauren's
noticed
video?
the silence. It dropped on us like a blanket. No birds, no wind, not even a buzzing fly.
No
Just the
birds.
stream. I caught Harry's eye, and I could tell he noticed it too. In the wild, silence is rarely a good sign. I was a few paces ahead when I crested the hill and froze. 10 feet in front of me, dead center in the trail, sat a massive grizzly. It hadn't seen Harry yet. I was too terrified to speak, so I started flinging one arm wildly behind me, trying to get his attention. When Harry caught sight of the bear, he acted instantly, pulled me behind him and began yelling.
Lauren,
Not
I
just
know.
yelling,
Lauren, I want to go
bellowing,
back to your video. I want to go back to that
military
whole
drill
the
sergeant
white lady
style.
twerking.
His voice
with the booty up.
thundered from across the trees. The bear stood
Return
up,
to
dropped
women.
to all 4 legs and began walking straight towards us. And then we heard it. A crack from deep within the woods to our right. A branch snapping, and the grizzly whipped its head towards the noise, hesitated for a split second, and bolted towards the stream, like it had just seen the devil itself.
Can we have a timeout?
A
Timeout,
second
Chief?
crack ran out.
Timeout,
Closer this
Chief.
time. Harry
feel
muttered
like I'm-
something
I'm-
about
I'm
falling
like an
branches, but I could hear the
NBA,
tension in his voice.
NFL
We picked
timeout.
up the pace, fast walking up the trail to put distance between us and whatever had spooked that bear. My skin crawled. I couldn't stop looking over my shoulder, and Harry stops in his tracks.
I don't care
I
about
turned
Harry.
and saw it too. Down, where we'd have been standing just moments before, something
Hello,
large
Harry.
moved through the trees. At first it looked like another bear, dark brown and shaggy. But it was
Dark
huge,
brown.
at least 3 times bigger than the grizzly, and it had its back to us.
Ooh.
Then it stood up. It rose impossibly tall, like a shadow peeling itself from the woods.
Oh,
The
my.
shape was wrong too. Long in the
Really?
arms, too narrow in the hips. Not a bear.
Fascinating.
We ran. I don't remember making the decision. My body just sort of took over, and I sprinted behind Harry, heart hammering in
don't
my
say.
chest, breath coming in gasps, heavy footfalls pounding the ground behind us, thudding in sync with our own.
Not
We didn't
Harry.
look back. Eventually, the footsteps faded. I was shaking and nearly in tears. Harry tried to calm me down, insisting it was all extremely unusual, that bears almost
Harry!
never behave this way. But I could tell he was rattled too. I should have turned around then, but I didn't. An hour later, we reached a flat clearing and decided to stop for a snack. We hadn't seen another soul since the hike began, and as we rested, I noticed something moving in the bushes nearby, a line of rustling branches coming straight towards us. Out came a young grizzly, smaller than the first but clearly agitated. Its eyes darted, posture low and tense. Before I could react, Harry jumped to his feet and ran towards it, yelling like a man possessed, bear spray in
Run,
hand,
Harry, run!
waving the other like a madman. And the bear took off, crashing through the underbrush.
Oh
I
my
wanted to
God.
scream. Why were we being stalked by bears? This wasn't normal. But the worst was yet to come. Back at the ranger station, we'd filed our route before the trip, standard protocol. Rangers often check in on hikers during multi-day treks. According to the footprints, we'd been following a ranger on horseback that had passed through that day, but we must have missed them. We'd been out for 2 full days without seeing a single other person, and that afternoon, I developed some foot pain, and we lost precious daylight trying to fix it. By the time we resumed hiking, it was almost dark, and in the forest, darkness comes fast. My headlamp wouldn't work. The batteries were drained. Harry's was the only working light between us, and the wind howled through the trees, drowning out
Why is
even
it
our own
always
voices.
Harry?
It was freezing. We finally found a place to set up camp at 9 p.m. A weird clearing shaped like a bowl, maybe 200 meters wide. The side sloped down steeply from the trail. Half of the trees inside were dead or rotting. Outside the bowl, everything was lush and green. To lighten the mood, Harry began playing some music on his speakers, thinking it might scare off predators. But the way the music echoed back at us made it worse, distorted, ghostly. And then came the silence. No music, no wind, no insects. Just that dead hush. The same suffocating quiet we'd felt before the first bear encounter. We turned off the speaker and crawled into the tent. And just as we settled in, the cracks started again. Deep thudding noises beyond the tree line. Not echoes, not wind, but a thud. It shook the ground beneath us, and then another thud. Closer, inside the clearing, we both froze. Then we heard something scrape across the tent wall, slowly and deliberately. It left a long dent in the fabric, like a finger dragging over nylon. "What is it?" I whispered. "I don't know. It shouldn't be a person. We're alone out here." My stomach dropped. Then the side of my tent slowly pushed inward. Something leaned into it, pressed against it. I grabbed my flashlight and shined it at the wall. My blood turned to ice. A human face, pressed into the fabric. Nose, open mouth. Each breath made the material puff in and out. Something was watching us. He whispered, "Screw that," reached into his sleeping bag and pulled out a Glock and racked it loudly. The face vanished. We heard footsteps sprinting across the clearing back towards the trees. We didn't even sleep. We didn't even unzip the tent until sunlight poured through the seams. When we finally crawled out, the first thing we smelled was urine. Someone had pissed on the dead fire pit. The coals were still warm. Steam rose off them in the cold morning. That's when we saw footprints, dozens of them, bare feet circling the tent, and handprints, smudged, muddy, and streaked across the nylon, all human-sized. We think it was mud anyway. Grizzlies are dangerous, but they're not the scariest things in the backcountry. Not even close. I'm glad to say that we made it back without further issues, but it was one of the most harrowing and horrible experiences of my life, and as you can imagine, I haven't been keen to go hiking in the deep woods again since then. A few years back, my wife and I were on a road trip vacation. Part of our route took us through Shiprock, New Mexico, where some friends of mine lived. Friends who weren't just casually into the paranormal, but deeply immersed in it. Real investigators, you might say. We decided to stop over a few nights just to catch up. Over dinner, we swapped stories. Bigfoots, strange lights, old legends. Eventually, I told them straight up I wanted to go out and look for a skinwalker. Really look, just once. I wanted to feel what it would be like to search in the dark for something no one could explain. And they hesitated hard. Most of them are Native American, and when it comes to skinwalkers, they don't take it lightly. One of them finally agreed, just one, and told me he'd take me out the next evening. The others said they'd join me later in the week for a more standard Bigfoot investigation instead. So the next night at 5 p.m., my friend pulled up to the hotel in an old truck. We drove for over an hour, deep into the desert, mostly on narrow dirt roads. The sun dipped low, and soon we were swallowed by the kind of darkness that is ancient. We stopped at a place known locally for skinwalker activity. I don't want to say where it was, but locals avoid it. Generations of warnings hang over that place like a fog. He killed the engine and we just sat there in the truck listening. At first, it was just the typical night sounds, wind, the dry rattle of insects, crickets chirping, loud and aimless. He told me about recent sightings, people hearing voices that mimicked loved ones, animals with human eyes, shapes that moved like they shouldn't. An hour passed. Then he said something that stopped me cold. Get out the truck.
That's right,
What?
folks. Come on
I asked,
down
thinking
to
he was joking,
Orthodox,
but he wasn't. He wanted me to step out, walk a few feet in front of the truck and just listen. Said he'd flip the lights on if anything happened, like I was bait. Now, I had a weapon on me, but I knew the stories. Bullets wouldn't stop them unless they're blessed and dusted with a special kind of white ash, which mine weren't. Still, curiosity overruled caution, and I told myself I'd be fine. So I opened the door and stepped out. But the second I touched the handle, something changed. The night didn't just get darker. It felt thick, suffocating, like the darkness itself had become aware of us, like it was taking control. The temperature dropped so fast I got goosebumps, and all the sounds of nature, the crickets and other critters, were gone. Everything had been alive in the desert a minute ago, and now it was silent. And just as I was swinging the door open, foot hovering inches from the dirt, we heard a whistle right next to us. It wasn't coming from outside the truck. It wasn't even at the window. It sounded like it came from inside the cab. I froze. My blood went cold. I spun around, ready to catch my friend pulling some kind of joke. But when I looked at him, he wasn't moving. He'd gone pale, like all the blood had drained out of his face, his mouth slightly open, staring straight ahead. The whistle came again. Something was out there, or in there with us. I started yelling his name, trying to snap him out of it, shaking his arm, and he blinked, twitched like he was waking from a trance, and sprang into action. He turned the engine on, slammed the headlights on, and we both jumped out with flashlights drawn, sweeping the area. Nothing. Not a sound, not a track, not a whisper of what had been there. But as he was rattled, and when a Navajo man who spent his whole life surrounding this stuff says it's time to leave, you leave. So we did, and without another word. The next night, he and a few others took me out again, this time to look at an area near Shiprock Mountain. This wasn't a skinwalker hunt. We were on the search for Bigfoot. It felt less ominous, but still heavy. The area we hiked into had been the site of multiple sightings, and after hours of walking, we found what they called a Bigfoot nest, a sort of cleared-out den packed with bones, deer bones, dozens of them picked clean. We examined the nest when we heard a yelp, not from a coyote, but a mountain lion. It was deep, long, and guttural. We spun around, flashlights scanning the tree line, but didn't see anything. But the two others did. Movement. Just above us on the ridge. Something large and humanoid. They were scared to even draw their weapons and cock them. And 10 minutes later, we started hearing footsteps from all around us. They circled, closing in. No matter where we pointed our lights, we couldn't see what was making the sounds. But it was there, getting closer, less cautious. That's when we bailed. Even now, I think about the whistle, the darkness, the weight of something you can't see standing just outside the beam of your flashlight. I know we're not alone out there. Back in the early 2000s, in the Rocky Mountains, my friend Adam and I, both 14 at the time, found ourselves deep within the mountains, far from any sort of civilization. We were camping with my family, and since we had our own separate tent, sneaking out for an adventure seemed like the perfect idea. It was the third night of the trip, and around 3 a.m., we decided to embark on a little night exploration. We didn't bother telling my parents. After all, we were teenagers who thought we were invincible. The cold mountain air was sharp against our skin as we trudged deeper into the woods, armed with only our flashlights and an overabundance of confidence. About 15 to 25 minutes into our hike, the thrill of adventure started to wane for me. The deeper we went, the more I couldn't shake the creeping unease that clawed at the back of my mind. At first, I ignored it, chalking it up to the eeriness of being surrounded by nothing but darkness and the distant sound of the forest. Finally, I stopped and turned to Adam. Hey man, maybe we should head back. It's getting colder now, and I hesitated, unwilling to admit that my nerves were getting the best of me. I don't know, something just feels off. Adam scoffed and nudged my shoulder. Oh, come on, don't be a baby. We barely got started. His excitement was unwavering, and against my better judgment, I agreed to push on. Another 10 minutes passed, the trees around us becoming more dense, their gnarled branches twisting together like skeletal fingers above our heads. Then as my flashlight flickered across a small clearing, I saw it, something that made my stomach drop. A figure. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. It was a tall, dark shape standing at the edge of the clearing, just barely visible between the trees. My breath hitched as I focused the beam of my flashlight on it, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. It had impossibly long, thin legs, a distorted body, and most disturbingly, no arms. The way it stood there motionless, yet undeniably aware of us, sent ice-cold terror surging through my veins. Adam, I whispered harshly, grabbing his arm. Do you see that? He followed my gaze, and for a brief moment neither of us moved. Then, as if acknowledging our presence, the thing shifted. Not a step, not a lunge, just the slightest, most unnatural movement. That was all it took. Pure instinct took over, and I bolted, my heart pounding so violently I thought it might burst. Adam was right behind me, our panicked footsteps crashing through the underbrush. I didn't care about the branches slicing my legs or the rocks that threatened to send me sprawling. I just ran faster than I ever had in my life. By the time we reached camp, My lungs burned, my legs were a mess of scratches and blood, and my hands were shaking so badly I could barely undo the tent zipper. We didn't even try to return to our tent. Instead, we scrambled into my parents' tent, breathless and trembling. They woke up instantly, demanding to know what had happened, but neither of us could form the words to explain. For the rest of the trip, we refused to sleep alone, too terrified to risk another encounter with whatever was lurking in those woods. To this day, I don't know what we saw. It could have been a trick of the light. Maybe it was an animal distorted by the shadows. Or maybe it was something else entirely. When I was really little, maybe 5 or 6 years old, my family went on a camping trip deep in the Utah mountains. I remember the drive taking forever, winding up and up until we finally reached what felt like the very top of the world. We were so high that there was nowhere left to climb. At the summit was a small, cold mountain lake, tucked into a pocket of pines and rock. And that's where we set up camp. It should have been perfect. The view was breathtaking and the air was clean. And the silence, aside from the wind through the trees, was total. My parents, my uncle and I were on the shore fishing that evening. My grandparents and my older brother were milling around the camp behind us. I was just a kid, casting a line and hoping to catch something. When everything changed, my dad was the first to see it. Across the lake, maybe 100 yards away on the opposite shoreline, stood a massive figure that wasn't moving, just standing perfectly still like a statue. Humanoid but wrong. It was covered from head to toe in brownish black hair, and easily 8 feet tall if not taller. Even from that distance you could feel its size, its presence, like it was watching us. At first my dad thought it was a prank, maybe someone in a costume trying to scare campers. He yelled something, I don't remember what, but I remember that whatever this thing was answered back. It let out a sound I won't ever forget. Not a roar, not an animal call. It was a high, sharp, almost garbled screech-like language, but not any language we knew. It had cadence and purpose. Whatever it was saying, it sounded like it meant something, like it was trying to communicate. It felt alien. But then everyone was staring. My grandparents had come down to the lake, my brother too, even our dog had gone rigid, fixating on the thing across the water. Then my parents, God knows why, started mimicking the sound back, trying to repeat the strange vocalizations it had made. And it responded. Every time they echoed its strange speech, it answered back and forth, for what felt like forever. But it was probably just a few minutes. It was the weirdest, most surreal moment of my life. I remember the wind picking up, the trees swaying, the way all of us stood there not speaking, just watching this thing have a conversation none of us could understand. And then suddenly it moved. It turned and bolted into the forest like it had somewhere to be, still upright and on 2 legs, but it moved with inhuman speed and was gone in seconds. My dad later said it must have been running close to 25 to 30 miles an hour. He'd never seen anything like it. Of course, my brother, grandpa, and our dog did the smartest thing they could think of. They chased it. They made it over to the other side of the lake pretty quick, following the same direction the creature had vanished in.
Vanta didn't like the story. I'm going to end it. Thank you guys for coming out. We're 13 hours in. We will definitely be back later tonight. Thank you all for coming. This has been a great experiment. We'll probably do a spooky, scary stream once a week, maybe once a month, depending on who all wants to come in and share their shit. Thank you all. Love you all. Appreciate for joining. Y'all have a good one.
And Tropicana gets its roof torn off, Tropicana Stadium that the Tampa Bay Rays play in. And if you look into it, Tropicana orange juice was created in 1947 at the same time the U.S. military did their first ever experiment on a hurricane. You guys look it up, 1947, first experiment on a hurricane. Bradenton, Florida is where Tropicana orange juice was created, in Bradenton. So you just happen to have Anderson.
I can have non-sexual orgasms within my body, pleasures that I didn't know were possible.
Fuck yeah.
There's another short happen.
You deserve that, wrestler.
It's true. You do this.
It's damn near like a rite of passage in this. Oh my god, it's working.
Mandy says that Dolly drifts harder than me. This is fucking unacceptable.
Get pulled out, bitch. You don't drift enough.
I really haven't been grifting hard enough. You guys, I just found out I have
Baggy account cancer.
Got cancer in your PP?
You have cancer. All right, but seriously, donate some fucking money. It's just because I might have cancer and just not know about it.
And to be fair, that is untreated, unknown cancer is the worst type of cancer because it's untreated.
Right,
So I think
and
that's,
unknown.
for untreated cancer people, get out your wallets, open your wallets, open your heart.
I can't believe I have the worst type of cancer there is. This is tragic. I just need some money to
God is so good. The stillness is so gentle. The silence is powerful. See, because it's through the silence of our listening and our seeking that God reveals the wisdom. The wisdom is realized in the silence from within you. The silence within you is beyond the mind chatter, behind those gossiping and controlling voices that are always around, whether it's in your ears or around. There's voices and gossip and voices and words that want to control you, want to interrupt your peace, interrupt your silence. You choose what you allow.